Hello and welcome back to this chapter 2 of databases. Last time we looked at how to create a database and how to save a database. Today we want to look at how to use different objects in a database so that we can be able to save our data and to retrieve and to manipulate data. So the first object that we shall be looking at is a table. There are different types of objects that we work with in a database management system. One of them is a table and the other is a form. The third is a query, and then we have a report. But for now we are going to start with how to work with a table, how to design a table, and how to implement a table so that it gets ready for data storage and display. So to start with creating a table, we need to always design a table. To design a table is quite easy. The number of things that we need to always look at. For now, I'm going to be using Microsoft Word so that you understand the concept of a table. The number of things that you always need to understand. One of them is table data will always be stored in a tabular format, just like that. We have the first row. A row in a database is called a record. So we basically have, let's create a sample of that. We have this as our table, and this will always be a field. Alright, so a field is a column. A field is a column in a database. And then a row is what we call a record. So a record is a row in a database. So the number of things that we always need to understand. This is a field, and this is a field, and this is also a field. However, this is a row, and this is a row, and this is a row. Alright? So we have what we call field names. Those are the captions on top, like the index number of a student. Then we can store data that is related to someone's first name, or what we call a Christian name. And then we have the last name. So last name is kind of like a surname. So if you design a table like this, a table in this format, let's create another column. Okay, so we shall have like contacts. So this table is a table that can be used to store details of a student. So these are students. It's a table to store students data. Okay, so this is the table name, and this is the field name. Field name 1, field name 2, field name 3, field name 4. Right? So this is the field, or what we call a column, and this is a field, what we call a column. But you realize that each of these tables, each of them, if at all you are to have more than one table, you're going to have the student whose this student will automatically at one time sit for an exam. So we shall need to store exams of these students. So we have like marks. So we need to understand which student has done which exam. So we shall have like mark 1, and then maybe beginning of term. Okay, beginning of term. Okay, let's call it BOT, beginning of term. And then we have the end of term. Alright, Now, you need to understand something when it comes to these tables. We need to understand something. Let me just put this here so that we take them as our key terms that we need to understand. These are key terms in databases. All right. So if this is these are key terms in databases, so what do we use them for? We shall have another key term called a primary key. Primary key. And what's a primary key? So a primary key is that field whose data uniquely identifies a single row. Take for example, someone like Tom Luma, and we have his contacts as 25677 that, okay? If this is a contact of this guy, Tom Luma, and in this class, one class, we have two Tom Lumas. Tom Luma. Okay, Tom Sawyer. Okay, Sawyer. If it is, we have Tom Sawyer in first class, and that is his data, you can easily identify which Tom are you talking about in a class. Let's like senior 1, there is Tom Luma, and then there is Tom Sawyer. We need to uniquely identify which Tom are you talking about. So that number that you give this person that will uniquely identify him is what we call a primary key. A primary key is a field whose data uniquely identifies a record. So we said this is a record, but which key, what number uniquely identifies that record is what we are talking about. So a number like 0012, 001 will be a number that will automatically uniquely identify one record at a time. So we can have a number like 002, and then we can have someone called like Sam Susan, okay? Sam Susan will be given a number 003. That means that we can have Susan having a primary key as 3. This is his number, Sam Susan. Sam Susan is number 3. That means this primary key can never, it is a rule, it can never be duplicated. So there are properties that we can look at that define a primary key. There is no duplication. The primary key, no duplication. It has to be unique. It can never be repeated. Okay? Duplication or repetition, no repetition. Okay? No repetition, no duplication. Alright? And has to be unique. It has to be unique. Otherwise, if it is not unique, it ceases to be a primary key. You cannot use it as a primary key to uniquely identify one record. So what we have, this as primary key is a field whose number, whose data uniquely identifies a record. Okay, that is a primary key. Now there is another term that we need to understand, and that term is called the foreign key. If we have a primary key, then what is this thing called the foreign key? Alright, let's take a sample of another table. Marks table. We have a student whose ID is 001, and that student is Tom Luma. Tom Luma will need to sit for an exam. But what you've got to understand always, remember that each table will always have a primary key. Otherwise, if it doesn't have a primary key, you're more likely to develop duplications of data. We have Luma, Tom Luma, like 17 Tom Lumas. Okay? And if each one of them doesn't have a primary key, you're more likely to go in a class and say, Tom Luma, stand up. And all of them will stand up. But if we say Tom Luma 001 stand up, it will be only Tom Luma 001 who will stand up. The rest will remain seated. So this Tom Luma 001 will have to do an exam. And this exam, we need to enter his marks. Each of the mark has to be uniquely identified, because Tom Luma, one student can do more than one paper at a time. So we need to enter the mark ID. Alright? So we have the first record of the mark. This person has scored 55%, and he has also scored 85%. So this record will be identified by his record 001 or 003 or 13. Alright? That means if this is our primary key for this table, and this is our primary key for this table, this mark and that mark, both of these marks, they are attached to one student. So we need a way to bond the two tables, the student's data table and the marks table. The way we bond the two tables is by use of a foreign key. A foreign key is a field whose data has been used as a primary key in one of the tables. That means that we need to identify that this mark belongs to Tom Sawyer. So we shall have an index number there. We shall not enter his name, but we shall enter this mark 55 and 85 belong to number 002. So it means that we can enter another field for another mark for this of another person. So 0014. So if we have identified this as our primary key, it can never be duplicated. It can never be repeated. It means that we are entering another mark 42 and 52. And this mark belongs to the same person, 002, which is Tom Sawyer. That means Tom Sawyer has scored in BOT for the first exam, maybe math, okay, 55 and 85. Good. And then he scores biology 42 and end of term 52. Same person, all right, but different subjects. So we can have like a subject code here, subject code. Maybe math is sub, the code is sub, oh sorry, I just want a subject number 0040. Okay, 14. And then this is subject number 002. So realize that this is subject number this and this is subject number that, but they belong, both marks belong to the same person. Why is it that we have said that here no duplication, yet here there is duplication? It means that both of these, this is a primary key and this is a primary key. No duplications. However, one student can sit for both subjects. I guess this is now clear. Just like you are one person, you can go to the shop and buy sugar. Then in the afternoon, you go back and buy sugar, the same quantity. So it means that you are the same person, but you are buying different products. Same person buying different products. So this is a foreign key. Its data has appeared as a primary key in this table. So it is borrowing data from that table and putting it in this table. So this is what we mean by a foreign key. So its definition is a field. Is a field whose data has okay, so whose data has been used as a primary key in one of the tables. All right, so it is better you understand the gist of databases. These two they are like the heart of a database. So we are going to create a database of this kind in the next chapter. Thank you.